face, it's one of the most difficult times ever recorded. Yes, we've been hit by one of the strongest typhoon in the planet, and that is Typhoon Haiyan. Thousands and thousands of lives were lost, and millions of infrastructures damaged. Who would have thought it would happen? But it is inevitable. There's a big question of recovery, a big question of sustainability, and what's next for our fellow men here in the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today, united as one, strong and firm standing, to provide our people a sustainable growth for the victims, the men and the women of Typhoon Haiyan in Leyte, Samar, and Eastern Samar. This is Tukod Reconstruction Project Launching. Good morning. To formally welcome us all and open the program, let's give a hand to the ever-dashing and strong woman of the Center for International Studies and Cooperation Incorporated, Mrs. Claudia Black.
It's a real pleasure for me to be here today and also to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you for this official launch of the project Sustainable Economic Growth for the women and men affected by Typhoon Haiyan in Leyte, Samar, and Eastern Samar. So it's a big occasion for us, and this is an important project over 3.5 years that is just starting and is funded by the Government of Canada and implemented by CECI-Concern. I would like to particularly welcome the regional directors of the many key Filipino government agencies that are actively involved and contributing to the project. So welcome. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to the representatives of the Canadian Embassy, to the municipal mayors, warm welcome to the academic representatives involved also in the project, as well as the private sector and representatives of the communities who are at the heart of this initiative. So thank you very much for your presence here today. The organization I represent, CECI, is a Canadian NGO that was founded 58 years ago and is based in Montreal, Canada, with 60 employees in Canada, about 300 employees in different countries that we work in, so overseas, as well as hundreds of volunteers that are involved in the organization. And we operate in 20 different countries over 3 continents to reduce poverty and exclusion, to promote socioeconomic development, food security, gender equality, and of course human security in the most vulnerable populations affected in emergency situations. Our approach has always been very participatory with our partners and with the communities that we work in. We promote learning and exchange of experiences and methodologies and best practices as well between the different teams and stakeholders within a project and between different project approaches within a country, as well as promoting learning and exchange between different countries that we work in. So always promoting learning as much as we can. I'm happy to see that this is the case already with this project through the coming together and involvement of many stakeholders, including community representatives, with whom it is very important to work all together. Our approach of capacity building of our national partners is also very important to us, and we consider CECI to be a strong project partner that we value very much since we started working together in 2010. Our approach also involves partnerships and collaboration. Our organization values partnerships in everything that we do. We promote partnerships with government, with the private sector, and with other civil society organizations as a means of bringing about effective development. I would like to express our sincere appreciation to the Canadian government for funding this project, which builds on our Haiyan and Hagupit emergency responses that were also funded by the Canadian government, but also for being a consistent partner in our humanitarian, but also in our longer-term economic recovery and reconstruction initiatives in the Philippines. Thank you very much.
This time, it's very important for us to understand the very purpose, the reason for being of this activity. And to give us a keynote address, let's give a hand to the head of cooperation of the Embassy of Canada, Mr. Stephen Weaver. A round of applause, please.
And thanks very much, especially to our CECI partners who have traveled all the way from Canada. Certainly you've traveled the furthest to be with us here today. We certainly appreciate that. I felt bad about having to get up in the morning to catch a flight early to come here, but I know some of the beneficiaries even got up earlier than I did. Thank you very much. And to all the government partners who are here, these types of projects simply could not be a success without extensive partnership and participation of government agencies and the local government. So thank you very much for taking your time out of your busy day to be here today with us. I appreciate that. As most of you may know, the ambassador from the Embassy of Canada in Manila had really hoped to be here today. He's been to Tacloban many times before. His heart is really here. He actually just took up his duties as ambassador just after Haiyan had struck, and so it had been very close to his heart, and he'd like to return to Tacloban to see the progress that has been made over the years, and sincerely wanted to be here for this project launch. First, let me thank CECI and its local partners CECI-Concern for organizing this launch of Tukod project that will provide further support to the communities in Leyte and Samar affected by Typhoon Haiyan. This event highlights the wonderful partnership between CECI and the Government of Canada and shows our commitment to the long-term recovery of Haiyan-affected areas. 2 years ago, when Haiyan struck Central Philippines, Canada took immediate action on the onset to assist the country to get through this crisis by initially contributing humanitarian assistance funding to provide urgent assistance to those most affected. As you may know, the Government of Canada established what we call the Typhoon Haiyan Relief Fund, which was a mechanism so that every dollar that was donated by individual Canadians, just average Canadians across the country, individual Canadians to registered Canadian charities responding to the impact of this typhoon would be matched by the Government of Canada. And I have to say myself is that we were all overwhelmed by the generosity of Canadians because they contributed over 90 million Canadian dollars, more than 3 billion Filipino pesos. They donated by average Canadians to support the Philippines. As a result, the Canadian government financial assistance to Haiyan as well totaled just over Canadian $90 million, 90.6 million, or Philippine peso 3.2 billion in matching funds to match the generosity of our Canadian citizens. So in total from Canada, both government and private resources, we're talking over $180 million or more than 6.4 billion pesos were provided to Haiyan, which made Canada one of the largest donors into the Haiyan crisis. Of this Canadian 90.6 million that was provided by the government, a total of 70 million, or Philippine peso roughly 2.4 billion, was given to experienced and trusted Canadian and international partners for humanitarian and early recovery assistance. So this was really just the first wave of assistance that came after the disaster. The remaining $20.6 million is now being used to fund 4 long-term livelihoods reconstruction projects. And this was announced last year during the state visit of President Aquino to Canada. These long-term projects are also aligned with the comprehensive rehabilitation and reconstruction plan of the Government of the Philippines. So again, working very closely with our government partners to ensure that the funding is going to meet priority needs. One of these 4 projects, of course, we are here celebrating the launch of today, the Tukod project. And that will be implemented, as you well know by now, by CECI and by Concern as their local partner. So that is why we are here today, to launch this project that will help the affected communities rebuild their livelihoods and improve the long-term sustainability of their lives here. We will hear later in this presentation how the project will support sustainable long-term economic recovery of women, men, and youth affected by the typhoon in the areas of livelihood and micro, small, and medium enterprise development. Allow me to congratulate CECI and partnership with Concern for continuing to help the affected people and communities through livelihoods recovery assistance and capacity development training. Canada, for its part, will continue to deliver on our commitment to provide support for Yolanda recovery and reconstruction. And this is a part of a long history of Canada's very close ties with the Philippines. We look forward to a fruitful collaboration and the continuation in supporting those affected in Leyte and Samar to recover and rebuild from the devastation caused by Haiyan. Thank you very much. I'm very proud to be here this morning representing the ambassador.
To give us the project overview of what Tukod is all about and its reason for being, let's give a hand to the Asia Regional Manager of CECI, Mr. Dilip Chinakonda.
When we had the 2013 in October, there was an earthquake in Bohol. I think it's almost forgotten now. So we received funding from the Canadian government, from the humanitarian assistance to help with the shelter and the livelihoods. And in November, then there was the Haiyan, Typhoon Haiyan, so back to back. Within like 2 weeks, there was another emergency. So we got, busy in responding to Typhoon Haiyan as well. So again, we received funding from Canada, and that project, Haiyan, we had a shelter component and a livelihood component. Shelter, livelihood, and a DRR component. So our strategy is to always have these 3 together, because without livelihood, shelter for the women especially, for their security, for their status within the community, to reduce the domestic violence, I think it was very important that we had shelter and livelihood together. We brought learnings from Bohol earthquake, our response in Bohol earthquake, into the Haiyan project. So while we were still implementing the Haiyan response, in December 2014, Typhoon Hagupit happened. So we responded to that as well from January of 2015 till the October of 2015. And then the reconstruction fund was announced. So we were successful in getting that, and we've had a lot of consultation with stakeholders. I know a lot of you already. Met several times with you for consultation. So this project, as you will notice, I remember in October, somebody asked that, well, this looks very much like what the government is supposed to do. So why are you working on this? But that's exactly the reason. We don't want to do something different, something in parallel, something completely, not connected with what the government is doing. So that's the whole idea, is that we want to build that synergy. We want to bring that value addition to, we want to fill gaps basically. And we found, we have had a lot of meetings, and we found that right balance. And well, very excited that after all the preparation that we are now going to actually start working with the communities and with all the partners here. So in the Haiyan response, this is what we say, is that we are building this project on the Typhoon Haiyan and Hagupit response. So we had shelter and repair. We don't have the shelter component in this one. This is about economic growth and livelihoods recovery. So we had a very strong livelihood recovery component in the Haiyan and Hagupit response. And we had already built into even during the emergency or recovery phase, we had built sustainability into the program. We wanted to ensure that even though it's a recovery response, that the communities were able to continue to function even after we had left. So we had formed them into groups. So we have given the basic trainings on managing the group, on managing finances. So here you see that, for example, we had a group project on poultry. We had on papaya processing. And again, we had, for example, we had agriculture recovery project. So we kind of integrated components as well. So the produce from the agriculture was, processed by these women. So we were creating already enterprises within the project and linking the enterprises during the emergency response. So this project gives us now, with 3 years, an opportunity to work much more deeper into that and create a much more longer-term sustainability. And we will be touching around 5,000 families at the end of the 3rd year. I think I invite now Merci to talk about this project. Where are we? What happened in the last 6 months? What preparations happened, and how does the project look like? Thank you.
Warm welcome. Again, welcome to everybody. I will now introduce to you Tukod. So you will, some of the directors know this, and some of those who were involved. But for those who came in